I don't remember sitting down. I remember the floor being closer than it should have been, the smell of cleaning spray sharp in my nose, and the feeling that my chest had turned into a narrow hallway no air wanted to walk through. It was supposed to be a normal afternoon. Everyone was home. My aunt had decided the house needed a proper deep clean, which meant windows, fans, furniture dragged out of place. There was an unspoken test in days like that: who worked without complaining, who proved they belonged. At first, I told myself the tightness was nothing. I'd been told that my whole life. Nothing serious. Just nerves. Just drama. I wiped the counter slower than usual, counting breaths without realizing I was counting. When I finally stopped moving, it was because my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I leaned against the wall, hoping it would pass. I didn't want attention. Attention always made things worse. "Why'd you stop?" my aunt asked from the other room. "I just need a minute," I said. Even to my own ears, it sounded weak. My dad looked up from the sofa, irritation already set in his face. "Every time there's work you've got something." "I can't." I tried to inhale fully, failed, tried again. The air felt thin, like it had been watered down. He stood up. "Quit faking it." That sentence landed with familiar precision. It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It carried years with it. Every time I'd been sick at an inconvenient moment, every time rest had been interpreted as avoidance. My aunt clicked her tongue. "Just say you don't want to clean. Don't make a scene." Something inside me folded. Not dramatically. Quietly. I stopped explaining. Explaining had never helped. I slid down the wall and sat on the floor, because standing felt like balancing on a wire. The room narrowed. Sounds blurred at the edges. I focused on the pattern in the tiles, grounding myself the way I'd learned to do when emotions were unwelcome. "I think you're overreacting," my dad said, already turning away. Authority dismissed. Case closed. I didn't argue, I couldn't. Each breath took effort now, like lifting something heavier than it should be. My chest burned, then went oddly numb. Someone, maybe a cousin, hesitated near me. "You okay?" I nodded because nodding was easier than talking. Minutes passed strangely, too slow, too fast. I remember someone saying maybe we should call someone. Not because they believed me, but because the silence had become uncomfortable. When the EMTs arrived, they didn't rush. They never do at first. Calm voices. Routine questions. One of them knelt in front of me, professional and neutral. "What's your name?" I told him. "Can you take a deep breath for me?" I tried. Failed. He checked my pulse. His fingers paused. He checked again, this time with intent. His tone changed, not panicked, but alert. "Okay," he said to his partner. "Get the stretcher." The word cut through the house like glass breaking. "What?" my aunt said, suddenly sharp. "Is it serious?" My dad stepped forward. "Wait, what's going on?" The EMT didn't answer immediately. He was already fitting an oxygen mask over my face. Cool air rushed in, thick and real. "Pulse is unstable," he said. "Finally, we're moving." The room erupted. Voices layered over each other. Questions. Regret. Fear disguised as concern. I didn't know. They didn't say, "Why didn't you tell us it was this bad?" I lay there, watching the ceiling move as they lifted me. Strangely, I felt calm, not relieved, just still. The argument had ended without me saying another word. No one met my eyes. In the ambulance, the world reduced to beeping machines and steady instructions. My body stopped fighting so hard once it was finally believed. At the hospital, the diagnosis came in pieces. Medical language. Explanations that made it clear this wasn't imagination or avoidance or laziness. It was real. It had been real before anyone listened. My dad stood near the wall, hands in his pockets, smaller somehow. My aunt avoided looking at me altogether. No one apologized outright. They didn't need to. The shift had already happened. Later, when things were stable, my dad said quietly, "You should have said something sooner." I looked at him. "I did." He nodded, but didn't respond. Nothing dramatic followed. No big confrontation. No promises of change. Just a subtle rearranging of how I was seen. Careful words. hesitation where certainty used to be. I went home with medication, instructions, and a knowledge I hadn't had before. Authority had spoken, and the house had listened. It didn't heal everything. It didn't fix the past, but something fundamental had moved. I no longer needed to prove that my pain was real. The silence did that for me.